Hello and welcome back to the bench of the very amateur watchmaker, and today I'm going to cover disassembly of this vintage 1960s Oris. Now this was listed on eBay. It said it was not running, and I would tend to agree with that. You can see here I can pull the crown out. However, it's not letting me set the time, and I've been turning the winding stem. I've done quite a bit of turning, and there's nothing happening here, no ticking. So it could be a number of things wrong with it. So in the next couple videos, I'm going to cover disassembly, cleaning, reassembly, lubrication, and hopefully we can get this thing back into working order. So the first thing we're going to start with is removal of this very lovely gold band. So have the our little tool here, and hopefully this comes out without too much problem here. Just dig this in here and off there, and try and get the next spring bar off. It should come off a little bit easier maybe than the other one. And there we go. Okay, well, that's gonna head straight for the garbage. And let's see here, this back came off fairly easy. I was able to take a look at the movement here. So you can see when we, now I should be wearing finger cots. However, I ran out of them, so I have some on order. When we reassemble this, I will be wearing those because that is, that's proper technique. So you can see, we'll take that off, and you can see the movement here. Looks like a pretty simple movement. This is the looks like the 457 KIF movement. I don't know a whole lot about the Oris watch brand, but you can see here it's got a movement holder. So first thing we'll do is let's see if we can take that out. You can see that should lift out pretty easily here. And what we're going to do is we're going to set everything in this tray. We'll put it at the bottom part of this tray here. And the first thing we're going to want to do is remove it from this case. So what we'll do is we're going to turn this little screw here. And that should come right out. Doesn't seem to want to go. So there's another little trick we can do. Sometimes if you unscrew it and push it down, that will work, but doesn't seem to want to come out. So we'll try. Oh, there we go. Okay. So take a look here, and that is the winding stem. Looks to be in pretty decent shape, so we'll put that in the tray. And next thing we're going to do is basically flip this over, and it should come right out. So you can see the dial's in pretty nice shape. So this should be a pretty nice restoration. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to want to remove the hands before we take the dial off. And if you remember from my last video, I covered using these Bergeron dial protectors. And sometimes they don't want to come out, so just use the tweezers here. All right, now I wish I could set these all. You want to set them all at pretty much the same time so that there's less damage potential to the hands. So I was unable to turn the hands, so we're going to do our best to take care of these. So these are the hand removal levers. So we're just going to get in here and hopefully pop them right off. There's the second hand, and try and get under the hour hand without damaging the dial. Okay, as you can see, I was able to remove the hands without damaging them or the dial. Took me a little bit of finagling, a little bit of elbow grease, but you can see I was able to remove them. And looks like there's some pretty good loom left on the hands. So we'll move right along, get these in the tray. And you want to be very careful when picking these up so as to, again, not damage them. I'll get the second hand right in there. Now, to remove the dial, there are these little dial screws, and you can see the hole is very, very small. In fact, I hope my screwdriver fits in here. So we'll remove the dial by turning the screw here. And then we'll do the other one. Okay. And let's see if we've turned those enough. You want to be very careful when lifting the dial off of the movements. Looks like I might not have released enough of the screw tension. You can see that fits in there with these little dial feet, and looks like they are a little bent, so we might have to address that on reassembly. But again, be very careful. I use these brass tweezers. They are a little softer and they're not going to damage the dial as quickly as would a stainless steel tweezer. You should use tips with a Delrin tip, which are a softer composite. So that's one of the first things you want to do. And we'll do here was we're going to remove this dial washer just to make sure that's safe. And right off the bat, we can remove this dial wheel. Now, from here on out, we're going to want to put this in the movement holder. Now, when you're disassembling a movement, first thing you're going to want to do is remove probably the most delicate part of this, which is the balance wheel, or what's considered the balance complete, with either the balance cock or the balance bridge. All right, so get that. Now, what you should generally do before you start disassembling the rest of the watch is let the power down off of the mainspring. Just for some quick identification here, that was the balance. The pallet fork is underneath here. The problem can be sometimes if you take the pallet fork off and there's still power under the mainspring. The pallet fork is the only thing holding this, and as soon as you let it go, it's just going to unwind at lightning speed, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. You can damage the teeth of the gears, you can damage the pivots, you can damage the jewels in here, so always a good idea to let the power down off the mainspring. And the mainspring is buried under these bridges, so the first thing we're going to want to do now is remove this top bridge. When you remove these, you want to pull straight up. You do not want to pull them at an angle. You can bend the very, very delicate pivots. Okay, so set that aside. And now we have, this is the center seconds pinion, but we're going to want to take this gear off and See, this gear is in here pretty good. Not quite sure what that is yet, but we're going to find out. But we have to remove something on the other side. So we're going to take this off and flip it over. And that is the Cannon pinion. That tool I was just using is properly termed the Cannon pinion removal tool. So we're going to see what that is. Not quite sure what that part is, so we'll address that. We're going to remove the movement. We're going to flip it back over, and you can see there's a little piece sticking up out of there. That is the center seconds pinion. So what we're going to want to do after we get this thing securely in the movement, we're going to remove that. Okay, that's your center seconds pinion. Now, you might see this little bridge here. It looks like this was being held on by the springs that, I'm sorry, the screws that I had just removed. So you can see this is kind of just hanging here. Now, one thing we're going to remove before we remove this train wheel bridge is this is called the center seconds tension spring. And now, still not quite sure what that gear is to. See if we can lift the train wheel bridge off gently. Again, you're going to want to lift these off as straight up as possible so as not to bend any of the pivots. Okay, and here we have the train wheel bridge. So, okay, so this was the gear to the fourth wheel. That's what that little gear was for. So, next thing we're going to do is like I said, we can't get to the mainspring yet, so I think next we'll go with the pallet fork. First we have to remove the pallet fork bridge. See, that kind of fell into the base plate there. that off. You can see the pallet fork underneath is stuck. So that's something we're going to want to take off before we clean. And next thing we're going to want to do is remove the center wheel. However, it's not coming off very easily, so we're going to want to use our number 3 Presto style wheel remover. You don't want to just yank on these until they come off. It's a great way to break them. And see, that just comes right off. The only problem with using this tool is sometimes the gears get caught on there. So there's your large center wheel. Continuing to remove the train of wheels. Your 3rd wheel. 4th wheel. And the escape wheel. Next, we're going to want to remove the barrel bridge, which is right under here. The barrel, mainspring barrel is right under here, and this is the barrel bridge. Get all the screws out of there? I think we did. And there we have it. Okay, so now we have the mainspring barrel. This houses the mainspring, which provides the power to the watch. So we're just going to set that aside for just a moment, and that's going to complete this side of the movement. Now, next thing we're going to want to do is just flip this over, and I'm going to remove the final portion. This is called the keyless works. Now, this is the part of the movement that the winding stem connects to. You pull it in and out, and there's these series of levers and springs that allows the hands to be set and the watch to be wound. So look here, it looks like a pretty normal setup for keyless works. Okay, and the last little part we needed to address, and I had some technical difficulties getting this open. This is the mainspring barrel. You can see the main spring wraps around here, and it connects to this. It's called the barrel arbor. So we need to remove that, and you have to do it very, very carefully. This is under a lot of tension, and if you're not careful, this can go flying, and you're going to spend the next hour with a magnet on the ground looking for it, which I've done many, many times, and it's not always successful. So we remove that barrel arbor, and we're just gonna kind of walk this out because this will go flying. So we get the first part out here, and just kind of gently let this come out. See here, it's going to come out nice and easy, kind of. And you can see how much tension they're under. And I think I found out why this is not running. See this little piece here? The mainspring should be in one piece, not in two. This is called the bridle, and what it does, it catches onto a little indentation in the mainspring barrel, and that's what holds it in place. So every time I was turning the watch, this entire thing was just spinning around, and it wasn't building up any tension. So I think we found the reason why this was a non-runner. So what we're going to need to do is order a new mainspring, and we can get that installed quite easily. Okay, and this is the entire movement laid out for all to see. What we're going to be doing on the next video is going over how to clean and lubricate them, and then after that we'll be getting this thing back together, see if we can't get it running. So for now, this is the Very Amateur Watchmaker saying bye-bye.